like she's feeding the animals and stuff, and we like start talking, and all of a sudden she's like, "Do you guys want to pet something?" And I was like, yeah, "Of course." And then she opens this door, and he's like, "Yeah, go in." And like we follow her, and we are in the inside part of the hippo enclosure.
We can wander our way over, because this is Wandering Ways.
What's Bigfoot possibility?
Okay. Clink.
Clink.
Oh, man, how's it going? Oh, you're still drinking your coffee. It's going good here.
No, it's going well. It's going well, man. Nothing too exciting going on. Not. I'm excited for today's guest.
I am too, because he's another international guest.
Yes.
Our second one, so thank you for that. He lived with you. He's lived in Thailand. He's lived in Germany, but we'll get to that. One thing that I like to bring up is my shared interactions with this guest. He came out to visit me with you in Montana a couple times. The first for the Cat Grizz football game, which, that was a shit show because, that's how college kids are in a college town during a college football game. So we'll let you guys get... Yeah, before COVID. Yeah. I think that one involved basketball in a bar.
Yes, that's right. That was that trip.
Vince making a girl cry.
That's right.
He kissed her and she cried and ran away, and he did not know what he did, and it was hilarious because he is international, so that social barrier, it's there. This, the language barrier, the social barrier, it's just there. He was like, "I don't know what I did. Like, we're having a good night." Yeah,
and then they just like a little kiss, and then boom, that was it. That's all that.
Last time we ever saw her. No.
Yeah.
Fuck, man, that was fun. But the other time, and I think we get a little bit into this too, is one of my favorite times is that epic road trip you went on, which their video is on YouTube for all you YouTube watchers out there. Go ahead and check out the video, because the pictures and the scenery just does so much more for the stories. I think when you can see that Valley of Kings, right? Is that what it's called up in Banff and Jasper?
It's like the Valley of 10 Peaks.
10 Peaks, so Kings, same thing. It looks like a crown because all the mountains.
Yeah, because if you I think if you just go straight to our YouTube page, which link below, link in the description of the episode, you'll see the video is like the first thing that pops up. It's like one of our autoplay, I think. And so
I think you're right.
Yeah. And so at the end of it, that's when we're in Canada, and there's like a little circular one I do, and you'll see all the peaks, and it's crazy how many.
Yeah. That was, I love watching that video just to look at that scene.
Yeah, there's a couple in that video that I just like for the little clip of it,
Yeah, and it's a good song. If you guys have any questions, definitely shoot us an email at wanderingwayspodcast@gmail.com. We'll get that answered for you about the video if you have any questions about that. But one of my favorite things too on that trip is I met you guys in the Tetons.
Yes.
And our campsite at the Tetons.
Yes.
I've never woken up to a moose in my campsite before.
Yeah, it was nuts.
I was pleased.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a blast to wake up and see the it was like 100 yards from the campsite?
Yeah, something like that. Maybe I was by the bathroom, I remember. Yeah. But yeah, it was not far from where we slept.
No.
And we probably got a good 50, 25 yards, the safe distance away from it. Obviously, this moose is probably a lot more used to people if it's going into a campsite. So the respectable distance there was a little bit shorter.
Mhm.
But there, go crazy, man. Go to YouTube, type in crazy moose videos. You'll see some stuff. They're aggressive people. They're aggressive Moosai.
Yeah, Moosai. The Moosai are aggressive for sure. You know, and yeah, that was just a real blast. The Tetons, that whole trip was, and we go into the trip with Vince here in a little bit, but we don't get into the whole trip, just small details here and there. The other part we didn't really talk about with Vince was the whitewater rafting we did up in Sealy, Montana, because we basically met you in the Tetons, and then we went up to Sealy.
Yeah, you did the Montana leg with me.
Yeah.
I love the whitewater rafting because, honestly, Mark, you have guided on 2 good rivers now. You guided on the Yellowstone when our raft guide, she gave you reins probably for a good chunk of the trip, so I count it as river miles. And this Blackfoot one, which, I mean, we were on the river for
time.
it was a long day. It was all day. It was 6 hours, 8 hours. I don't know how long it was.
Yeah.
But you guided us on the Blackfoot River, which is known for whitewater rafting.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. And that one was like the rowboat style. So it's like I did all the work on that one.
Yeah, he has the frame in the raft. Yeah. But it was fun. I mean, me, the Germans, and Theo were all sitting up front, so it was so weight heavy up front. Whenever we'd hit water, we'd just take on so much.
Yeah, I thought my bicep was gonna pop on that.
Well, great workout.
Yeah, just isometrically holding. I was like, oh my god! I swore I felt the tension. I was like, this thing's gonna pop.
Oh man! Well, it's fun. Maybe next year we won't put the frame in, and we'll all help you.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Well, good. Yeah, those are some fun stories. That was a fun trip. From there, you guys partied on, and I think went over to Olympic and up into Canada. And you guys got some crazy stories up there that we actually go into. So
yeah, we go into the crazy story up there.
Stay tuned for what these guys do.
Yeah, no, it was a trip of a lifetime. You know, fortunate to go on it. You know, went on it with Vince, who will be on here in a little bit. You know, it was a blast. Still, Vince is one of my good friends. I visited him in Germany, over a year ago. So, you know, he's a good buddy of mine. He does a lot, and we'll get into it. He's done a lot of traveling. So hopefully he inspires you with it and everyone. But you got anything going in before we just jump in with old Vince?
You know, let's just do it. He's a great guy, so let's make it happen.
Alrighty, yeah. So anyways, here's Mr. Vinz Bauer. Alrighty. Here we are with another wonderful and beautiful guest. I am super excited. This is an old friend of mine. We lived together. Now, well, he's a German native. He's from the country Germany. So that's what makes it even more special. But anyways, today's guest is Vinz Bauer. So if you just want to kind of introduce yourself, Vince, and tell us maybe a little bit about yourself, then we'll jump into the fun stuff.
All right. Hello, everybody. Greetings from the other side of the Atlantic. I've been Mark's roommate for like a year in 2016-17 when I was at Oregon State as one of these fancy European exchange students that everybody loves. Yeah, we've done a great deal of traveling and seeing nature, national parks, all this kind of stuff, and also had a great deal of funny and stories in our apartment, living with 4 Hawaiians.
Yeah, it was like 4 or 5 Hawaiians.
Yeah, and most of them girls, so it was a fun time.
Yeah, and younger than us.
Much younger, yeah, like 18, 19.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys were in your like senior years, and they were freshmen and sophomores doing their thing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I always tell people we could have had a sitcom.
Yeah, definitely. Like we had the like the beautiful but naive one.
Yep.
We had the funny and but like the funny one. Then we had the mother.
Yep.
Who was the youngest actually, but she was like always caring for us. Who was dating a football player of another school, of UO. So we had that conflict in there right there. And then we had the crazy one who left us like mid-season. And
but
then
we replaced.
Yeah, and she was replaced by the lazy one, who like basically, I don't know if he ever had classes, but he was always on Xanax and bringing home what's that fast food chain? Panda Express. Yeah, he was working for Panda Express.
That's right. Yeah.
So we had those, and then we had the one side character, Jeremy, who was this gay dude who was a friend of Mariah, and he was batshit crazy. Like
he was.
Like being in our house, stoned, in the middle of the night when nobody was there, just breaking in, crazy.
Yeah, I met him once, and when me and Thea actually, when you were gone, I think you were in Salt Lake when we stayed with Mark, and me and Thea were there. And she brought him up. She's like, "Yeah, no, his eyes. He's got crazy eyes." I was like,
he definitely had crazy eyes.
One of those.
Yeah.
But I would subscribe to you guys' show. I watch a lot of TV myself. A lot of TV sitcoms, and I think it'd fit right in. It'd be a good one.
And we even had since Mark was the OSU mascot,
right?
We had a mascot,
and then you're the foreign exchange student right there,
we have
living in a house.
All the tropes in there.
Yeah, we really did. It was, some of the main stories. It was very. It was a well-written show.
Yeah.
Also, I want to try and transition more to, because while you were living here in the States, you kind of did almost as much as you could. It was really impressive to see everything you did. You went to Yellowstone twice. You and I went out to Montana in November. We went to Crater Lake at the very beginning. You spent time in LA, the big cities, LA, San Francisco. Then your family came out and you did the whole RV thing with them for a while. It was really incredible to see you fit it all in that year you were out here.
Yeah. And I still finish.
Oh, I was just going to ask you if there was kind of a big highlight of yours out of that.
Well, highlights basically for me as all of America was a highlight, kind of, because in Europe or in Germany, you grow up with all those shows and all those movies that are placed in America, and suddenly that's the normal. Suddenly you drive through Montana and you go into a diner and it looks exactly like you would think it would look in the movie. It's weird to live in a movie and then all these things turn out to be true. I would have never thought that all those crazy frat parties you see in, I don't know, all those movies
Yeah.
Can't pick a specific one. That this is real. This is a level of crazy shit that happens in party that happens. And that like people are so crazy about their college football teams and stuff and like all this. And then you see people with guns in the supermarket. Like, it was all true. The prophecies, they were all true.
And you didn't even go to Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one where you get the Florida man. It's an interesting place.
Yeah,
for sure. But
but yeah, like the highlights from like a landscape or like a traveling point of view, I would definitely say Antelope Canyon in that area, Horseshoe Bend, Monument Valley. That was amazing. Loved that. Still have photos of Antelope Canyon right next to me.
Yeah.
Did you do that one with your parents?
No, I did the one with like I did like for 4 big road trips.
Okay.
In that year. First one was with other exchange students through winter break. That was like all of California, basically, Las Vegas, Grand Canyon, Horseshoe Bend, Antelope Canyon, all like that area, San Diego. That's a big one. With like, I think we did like 8 national parks, so like Joshua Tree, Yosemite, Sequoia, Redwoods. For sure, a few more. I can't.
Yeah.
That's cool. I didn't know I did not know that you did all that when you're out there, and I think I admire that because you're really making the most of your time here. And I'm really disappointed because we didn't get to go to Antelope Canyon on our big road trip that me and Mark did because we didn't know you had to have a tour guide, kind of, which I appreciate. You know, the Navajo Nation owning their land and saying, no, you got to come with us if you want to come see our cool thing. But it sucks for us when we show up late in the day and try to do something like that. But
same for us. We came there and we like, oh fuck, there's a lot of people there, and like we stayed the night, got a tour early in the morning. And honestly, like I get that. I think it's a great thing that the Navajo Nation is like profiting from their land and from their cultural and heritage. But it is kind of a money printing machine with like they're just like there's these places in the world where there's too many people in there, and that's one of them. Like they're basically putting groups in there in like 20-minute shift. So it's just it was not like, I think it's overexploited. That's I think that's what I wanted to say. It's still beautiful as fuck. Like it's crazy. There's no place like it. But I think it shouldn't be that mass tourism thing, if possible.
I get what you're saying. Because arguably you could argue that like Antelope Canyon is considered a holy site to the Navajo people, you know, the spiritualness of it. But then I had the privilege of taking you guys up to Chief Mountain, that little dirt road in Glacier, and no one was there. Yeah. And I'm not going to tell anyone how to get there because it's one of those places where it's that same kind of reverence and awe, but it's so beautiful when you're in that little meadow and just looking at Chief Mountain and knowing and feeling warm and happy. I don't know. That's how I get when I'm there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That was a crazy experience too. Like that's definitely, if it comes to like highlights culturally and from like a inter-social standpoint, that was definitely a highlight. Like meeting your family over the 5th of 4th of July, not 5th, 4th of July, and being out there in this lake house, and then your dad telling us under like the Starry Night, like all these stories about the native culture and how they see nature and life in general. And then the trip to Chief Mountain and seeing that lived culture, that lived heritage. That was amazing. Like,
well, people don't get that. I mean, especially, I mean, we're 1% of the American population. You don't get that type of interaction, especially being international. You know, I only have 7 international friends. If I really were to count them all, it's not a lot. And there's 8 billion people on the earth.
yeah.
So like tying them together, it's kind of interesting. But I'm glad I'm glad you got to experience that. You even got to sleep in the teepee.
Right, the teepee. Yeah.
With Matt, buddy.
Matt. Of course.
Yeah.
I was like, so of course Indians, that's in wrong word, I know, Native Americans, but in German culture, also in the prophecies, how do you call these?
Quotations.
It is like a stereotype that is exploited, especially in children's books and like little children they are Native Americans or cowboys for Halloween or something, or carnival. And as much as that is inappropriate, this is still like a thing. For kids to see like to have that as like a hero figure, and like, or a childhood hero, like a fireman.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, but at the same time too, I'm going to say with the hero, you don't necessarily even get that hero. You're treated in that sense because you're like, like cowboys, Indians, it's the fun, the play of it, but you're not looking at it in the same sense as like a true hero.
Yeah.
Because like, if you look at like the true heroes, it's like Chief Joseph, right? He led his people away from the U.S. government. He was so close to taking them up to Canada and getting to Canada to be safe, but that didn't happen. And like that aspect of that heroism is missed. Through those teachings.
And then there's no, like, the stereotype kind of puts every actual person in the shadow of it.
Yeah.
Like, there's no German that can name a famous Native American or some famous chief or hero that there obviously exist in history.
Don't worry too much about that, because I don't know how many Americans can name a famous Native American either. Yeah.
No, you're not wrong. There's not a lot. I mean, there's famous chiefs and whatnot, but I mean, you'll know with your tribe. And for ours, you're going to have, your Chief Little Shell, because our tribe's the Little Shell tribe. He's the main leader, and then we just accomplished something huge. We got our federal recognition, which has been a 100-year fight. And my uncle's the chairman, Gerald Gray, so he'll go down in history as one of those chairmen, which is just awesome to have and be a part of and be behind the scenes and seeing, witness this all happen and occur. I need to write a book, because what him and my dad have accomplished in Indian country are to witness it from an upbringing. Those are the guys we go hunting and cuss at each other with,
Yeah.
But they're going to go down in history as, look at what these two did for, the American Indians as a whole. And I'm living in that shadow, and it's definitely a book I want to write.
Yeah.
I just got to
start now.
Yeah, right.
It's amazing. Yeah.
But it's good. I mean, I like that. I didn't realize that it had that big of an impact on you.
Yeah, it was like somehow it was this like child coming out of me at that point, and like being like, oh God, like I personally know Native Americans now. Like that's amazing, and I learned this culture like first like out of their perspective, and noticed how much more it is. And at the same point, I was like, okay, now I know a Native American and I know a real cowboy.
Oh yeah, Michael.
It was like, and that was like in the first months that I was there, so I could like just like from my mental list, I could like check these off.
Well, did you ever meet our African friends?
I don't think so.
Mark never.
Yeah, I don't know if you met YOLO and Clint and those guys.
Don't believe so.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember if you did or not.
I was just curious because that was another checkbox right there. Boom.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
But I know African people here.
Oh, so you're good. You already got that box checked.
Yeah. Inuit would be cool. Like,
yeah.
that would be. I bet they have really special like stories and another approach to nature.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I like that cultural aspect that everyone brings, especially when it comes to these nature places.
Yeah.
Reverend Marcus here. Before we get going with today's episode, I want to let all of you beautiful people know that we here at Wandering Ways have a new apparel line out. Yes, I know we're that big now. We've partnered up with the people at Teespring to put out our design on some shirts, from short sleeve, long sleeve sweatshirts to tank tops. We even got socks out there. So if you want to get your hands on some of this cool apparel and support the podcast here, check us out at teesprings.com/stores/wandering-ways. That's teespring.com/stores/wandering-ways. Go ahead, check it out, get yourself something nice, or get someone else something nice for them as a little, hey, how you doing? But anyways, check it out, teespring.com/stores/wandering-ways. You know, when you were over here, you know, one of the things I constantly talk about with people was our huge, long road trip that we did. That, you know, well, I think when we did the math, it was over a month long. You know, we started in Corvallis, Oregon, went as far south as Zion National Park. Then we went all the way back up north into Canada. And I mean, where you and I left, because you went back to Germany after that, you and Phil, was Calgary, Alberta, Canada. So, I mean, shoot, it's still one of the biggest highlights of my life. I made that video and I watch it all the time, and I go, damn, that was something else.
Yeah, that was definitely the trip of a lifetime. Like, it was amazing. All the things like we've seen and we've experienced in that time.
Yeah.
And
well, sorry. Go ahead.
No.
I'm surprised you guys didn't get in any big arguments or fights living that close for that long in a little Jeep. You know what I mean?
It's true.
Yeah.
That's what's really cool about it.
Yeah, it was.
And now that I think of it, I don't get it like any. I can't remember any like fights or anything we had. Do you?
I don't remember anything. I mean, I remember just like typical like small arguments about like where the hell are we gonna like sleep, or like what are we gonna do for food, that kind of arguments, but like nothing where you're just like you want to take someone by the neck kind of argument.
No, not at all.
Well,
It was really chill.
when you get those type of things living in a car for 30 plus days. So that's what I think what makes your guys' trip even that much more cooler is you guys are having a blast. So everything you did was a great experience.
Yeah, it was. And it was like, oh God, now that I think back, I still haven't edited photos now, I realize. But we did so many great things back then. We had the whale watching tour with the Orcas.
Oh yeah, man!
Big shout out to your sister, by the way, who recommended and paid for it.
Yeah.
She was like, we were at Mark's place prior to going up to Canada, like passing over from to Vancouver Island, basically
Yeah.
Victoria. And he's like, oh, there's this great whale watching trip, and you should do it. And we're like, oh no, it's kind of expensive. So she just like paid for it. It's like,
Yeah.
I think this is such an amazing experience that you should do that. So I'm gonna pay for that for all three of us. It was amazing. It's crazy.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, she was just like, show up at this place on this date.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one, that was so. And then I think we got lucky with our tour in general. I mean, we saw so much just in that tour alone. We
Yeah.
saw like 3 separate seal hunts that Orcas did. We got up close and personal to that osprey nest that had all the logs with the seals on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had like all the tree or the birds on that rock when the bald eagle was like messing with them.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah. And you know what blew me away? We've talked about it on here before. It was a little fun fact. When our tour guide or the biologist on our tour said you can tell when the orcas, the killer whales, get the seals because it smells like cucumbers.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it does. It has that cucumber hint.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and then you guys gotta go. What I am just super jealous of is the Narrows down in Zion. That I want to do that one so bad.
I destroyed my Timberlands in that place.
Yeah, I remember that.
But it's a great. Oh yeah, I know. I was looking at this shop who was like renting out boots for the Narrows, and I'm like, nah, I don't need that. I have Timberlands. They can go through everything, and sure enough, they don't. Turns out hiking 4 hours through water,
yeah,
is not what they're built to do. But it was amazing. It's a crazy place.
Yeah, I want to do that one. That one, to me, you see the pictures, you see the water, you see the canyon. I've wanted to do it every time I go down there.
Yeah.
And every time I go down there is extreme flood warnings. So I gotta go midsummer or something. But
yeah. Do you remember what was it? Driving all the way to Zion? Because we started.
Yeah.
We started. Didn't we start? We started in the Redwoods. We went over to Lass and down all in one like shot, basically.
That was crazy. Like we did that. We're down in Eureka, Acada for like Mark's next gig.
Yeah.
So he could like connect with his future roommates, and then we just drove. I believe it was like 17 hours or something.
Oh.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Like I think we started in like 2 in the afternoon, and we arrived around 8.
Yeah.
Ish. And for me, there was a stretch in Nevada at night. Like we've only seen, first we went through Reno, which was fun.
Oh,
at night.
yeah.
Stopped at this super sketchy gas station.
Yeah.
Already like sitting in there with like an open knife, just waiting for Mark to finish filling up the tank. And then there's this like 5-hour stretch in Nevada through this like desert, and there's like fucking rabbits everywhere. Like every 30 meters or what's that in yards? 90 yards, feet. No, 90 feet. There was a rabbit on the street. It was insane. That for hours and hours and hours. And we only killed one.
Wow.
Which was like that hour that I drove.
Yeah, I know. I remember like sleeping and just hearing put up. Oh.
Yeah, I killed Bugs Bunny that day.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think we had that blood marks on the car till like the end of the trip.
Yeah,
So,
I think we did.
Mark doesn't wash his car.
I let Rain do it. Nature does it for me.
That's how you know he's an Oregonian.
Yeah. Are you still driving, Jack?
Yeah, Jack is still ticking. That car has been everywhere. So at least in the West, it's been everywhere in the West. So which has been an absolute blessing of a car to have. Hopefully it lasts a lot longer too.
Hope so. Yeah. Does he still have his googly eyes?
Googly eyes are still there. That's right. It makes it seem like he has a face on the inside. So,
right? No, and I think that for our listeners, Vince actually put a bunch of googly eyes over Mark's stuff, and one of the things being Mark's car. So if you're ever in Jack, as you call it, the Jeep, you'll see those googly eyes, and they're looking right at you. Doesn't matter where you're sitting.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think they're also on Mark's coffee maker.
Well, I got a new coffee maker. I got a new.
Oh, then you have to get new googly eyes.
Yeah.
I like it.
And I remember, like, we had this President Obama paper cutout in the flat, and we were already like messing with each other, like putting this like life-size President Obama cutout like in front of doors of people in. So like they get up in the morning and they open their door of the room, and then they like,
boom,
there's Obama. And I was putting googly eyes on that one too. So this way, like super creepy, and also on like Animal House posters on the wall.
Yeah, you had those googly eyes everywhere.
It was 500 pieces for like $2. It was
money well spent.
Money well spent, definitely.
I like it. No, I mean that was really cool. Those eyes are there every time, but I think that what I like about that is when you do things like that, it helps remember a time. It helps Mark remember, he's like, oh yeah, I remember when Vince did that. And it starts leading to those stories and leading to these adventures and trips, which, I mean, again, that's part of, what we promote here on the podcast is getting out and doing things. If it's googly eyes, that's going to help you get out and go see the world. Well, googly eyes on things then.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the case here, but do it.
Yeah. Almost like my girlfriend has this term which she calls like micro adventures. So like every time you can, you should do a micro adventure.
Yeah.
Like that can be taking a bike ride to a place you've never been, or you just have like an hour and you're like trying to eat as many ice cream flavors that you can. Like, or it can be two days on a trip somewhere else. Like, that's something everybody should try to do. Like, get out and explore. Totally. Even as little as an hour, or as short as an hour.
I agree. I mean, I always promote like, hey, if you're in New York City and you have an hour to kill, go to Central Park. Go watch a squirrel run up and down a tree, because you'll not only one, you'll learn something from that squirrel, but two, I think being out in nature, being out doing something you enjoy or love, it's going to add time to your life. It's going to make you happier. You're going to just be that much better of a person, because we're not built to sit in these squares. No. And yet we do it all the time.
Yeah. Exhibit A.
Yeah, right. We're sitting in boxes, talking with a little box around us.
Yeah.
Into another little box.
That shows free boxes on screen.
Yeah. So we're not made to be like this, but we're doing it because we can, and it's a great way to talk. It's a great way to talk with someone who's all the way in Germany, and then even Zach and I are, hundreds of miles apart.
It's true. Yeah.
You're 1,000 miles apart because you're on the far side of Oregon. Portland's about 9 something. You're a little bit further than Portland.
Yeah, so you want to know the one thing I always and I remember from our trip, and it's because I'll see it in stores and stuff, is that run gum.
Oh yeah.
How much we would chew that run gum.
Funny. Yeah, so little backstory on that. Like my cousin, so when I went to the States, I reconnected a branch of the family that has been like not in contact for like 30 years. Another highlight of that year, definitely. And we're now in like Zooming all the time and calling, which is really nice. And so my cousin of like 3rd grade, I don't know how that translates, but so her now husband is a 2-time Olympian runner. His name is Nick Simmons. They're living down in Springfield now. And like after his running career, he started this startup, this run gum startup, because apparently runners, before they like have their race, they just like they chug a Red Bull or something like this, so they can like have all these taurines and caffeine in their bodies, so they can be as fast as they can. But normally those runners, like after the race, they have to throw up because it's just too much for the body. So he invented or developed this chewing gum, which has like caffeine and taurine in it, and it's basically a Red Bull to chew.
Oh wow!
And, I always had the unofficial motto for it is "tastes like shit, works like wonders."
Yeah.
Because
that was yeah, and I helped them moving, so he once gave me like this huge case of just like I don't know how many boxes of run gum.
It was incredible.
It was a lot, and so we were just chewing run gum all the time. Like instead of getting a coffee, like I have a run gum.
Yeah,
I know that like that was the first generation they had, or the second, I don't know. Very early ones, so they improved a lot on the recipe. Like,
I mean, shoot, they worked. So I remember I'd be chewing it, and I feel like more alert and like ready to go. So
yeah, I still have a few. Like we have, like in our cars, there's always a 1 pack of run gum that's just like the backup.
Yeah. I'll remember, I'll watch the video of our trip, and I'll see like someone chewing something, and I go, oh, that's that run gum.
Yeah, but they're doing good. Like this company, it's blowing up.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. They're
now in Walmart and Target, I think, and
yeah, I see it all over the place.
Yeah.
Another highlight I remember from the trip, and it's a bummer we don't have Phil on, because it's one that Phil and I went through together. You decided to leave us for this fun adventure, but it was when we got into Victoria, Canada, BC, and we didn't have a place to sleep that night, so we basically went out looking for a place to sleep, hopefully finding, and we did. You went with 2 like people to a small apartment, and Vince and I went to this house, and
Phil and you.
Yeah, Phil and I, we went to this house, and holy cats. We're like having a party. We weren't expecting it. And it was interesting to put into words, but that was probably the most angry Phil and I got at you, was the fact that you left us to experience this torture of a house. We got like 4 hours of sleep that night or something.
Yeah.
My question is, how did you guys fall into that position?
So we were in Victoria, and like we just went out in the bars.
Yeah.
And I think our plan already, like we already figured out we're not going to have a place to sleep. So we kind of made peace with sleeping in the car
Mm-hmm.
on some like parking space in Victoria. And then we meet those like 3-4 guys, and just like went on drinking with them. And in the end, it was like, yeah, like there's 2 flats we can go. And I went to the one flat.
Yeah.
With the girl.
That's fine.
And the others 2 had to go to the other flat with the guy who was partying with us.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sorry. I want to apologize at that point. That
Well, you know,
I ditched you.
Yeah, it worked out okay because that girl you ended up going to the one flat with, we ended up re-meeting up with her when we were in Vancouver, BC, and we went to that like comedy show and stuff, and she showed us around.
That was great. Yeah.
So, you know, it kind of came back around a little bit to help us out.
Just you guys, I mean, some of the stuff you guys do, especially from that trip, but also just in general with Mark, you know, it's like, you did what? You went into this person's house? Like, you didn't even know them? All right.
Yeah, it was wild. You know, because Phil and I, that night, we were offered like 3 different hallucinogenic drugs if we wanted. And both of us said no.
Like an intro to the darknet or something. I remember something like that.
Yeah, he showed us the dark web too, because he told us his whole business plan, what he does. It's not what he does for work, but it's like a little side gig hobby thing he does. So he basically goes on the dark web, and he'll buy these like party drugs. A lot of them are hallucinogenic, or he'll go and buy like Molly. And then he goes to music festivals.
Oh.
And he sells them at the festivals for like an escalated price. Festival prices is what they call it. And he ends up like doubling or tripling his money. And so he showed us it all. He goes on, he's like, yeah, you want to see what the dark web's like? And he just gets on his computer. He puts it like on his like TV, like you're Chromecasting it or something. And he's just like, yeah, what do you want to buy? And I was like, first off, nothing, because this is kind of odd. But he's like, yeah, if you wanted to buy heroin, he like types in heroin. Sure enough, looks like eBay for heroin. And he's like, you buy it, comes to your house in like 3 weeks. I was like, damn.
That's terrible shipping time, by the way.
I know, it's a bummer they don't have that Amazon Prime shipping.
Dark Web Plus. He's not paying for that subscription. No, I think that's nuts. You shouldn't try to buy a person. No, I'm just kidding. Don't. Don't. Report that if you ever come across that. That is a huge problem we are facing.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, exactly. Like you label that in getting offered drugs at some guy's house you've never been to. I don't know. This you ever watch any Halloween film? Like, that's how it starts, Mark. Like, I don't know. I'm just glad you're safe and you're able to go on adventures now.
Yeah, it was. I mean, this wasn't what we expected when we got into that situation.
Yeah. The thing is, Canadians are so nice. They just invited us to their home and offered all kinds of.
Yeah, he was just being a good host and like offering us stuff.
Oh, I know. I'm saying, you know, if this was in America, you might want to take a step back.
Yeah.
That's the situation. But no, that area, Victoria, Canada, it's a small little area, beautiful little area. So I trust you guys. You have to judge me. No. Crazy. You guys are crazy, that's for sure. Yeah, but I mean, you guys from there, I think you guys went over to from Vancouver. Did you guys go over to Alberta from there?
Yeah, we that's when we went to Banff and Jasper. Remember?
Yeah.
And that to me, I mean, that's one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen on picture. That I kick myself whenever I hear it because it's like I need to force myself to go.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, you should definitely like
Exactly.
because it's basically glacier, but even nicer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. You know, it was such a surprise. You know, especially Jasper,
Yeah.
because I mean, one we weren't anticipating going to Jasper at the beginning of the day.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's one of those places which I've been looking at a lot of maps. What I've done is I have a Polaroid camera and I take the Polaroid pictures and I put them on maps, kind of
Yeah.
like where I took the photo, or just to give it some sort of like put it in a frame, make it look good. And I've been
Yeah.
looking up in that area and just all the parks in the Rocky Mountains in that area, and it's like, oh, that's that one, that's that one. They're all right there next to each other, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I just gotta force myself to do it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Just after the pandemic, first trip.
Yeah, we're not allowed into Canada right now, I don't think.
I know.
Oh, no. The U.S. passport's not getting a lot of places right now.
No.
Go, Mike,
I do want to talk about the part after I left, because you know, you and I, you know, we lived together for a year. We said our goodbyes in Calgary, but you and Phil, you guys flew into the eastern part of Canada and spent a little bit. So I want to hear about that part of Canada, because I mean, I've never been to the east coast of the U.S., so you know, the east part of Canada, I want to hear about too.
Yeah. So, yeah, we departed in Calgary. Oh, I have to tell one thing about Calgary. After you left, Phil and I went to the zoo in Calgary. Somehow ended up taking a nap on the lawn in the zoo. But we got up at like 4:30 or something. We like wanted to explore the zoo and all the things we didn't see, and it was already closing down. And like we were just gonna walk through to the part that somebody like kicks us out. So we went to the Africa house, and we were the only people in there, apart from this one zookeeper. And like she's feeding the animals and stuff, and we like start talking, and all of a sudden she's like, "Do you guys want to pet something?" And I was like, yeah, "Of course." And then she opens this door, and she's like, "Yeah, go in." And like we follow her, and we are in the inside part of the hippo enclosure.
Whoa.
So hold up, you pet a hippo?
So I pet a hippo.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
They're some of the most aggressive animals on the planet.
Yeah, but those were really sweet.
Yeah. They get fed daily, taken care of. They know. They're not
You
dumb.
know, they're Canadian hippos. Yeah, they're nice.
They're nice.
Yeah, but like those two, like we were standing at this barrier, like maybe up to our chest. So no match for any wild animal. But those like the zookeeper like I don't know shouted, whistled something, and then they like come running towards us, and they wanted to have a scratch. So like you just pat their huge mouth is, like or snouts.
What does it feel like?
It is like they have a lot of hairs there, but like very sturdy hairs,
Huh.
like kind of a cat hair, like
whiskers.
Yeah. There's a lot of them, so it is like at the same time it's very moist and smooth, but also has those whiskers everywhere. So it's an I don't know what to compare it to actually.
It's petting a hippo, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's like it's like a hippo.
Yeah.
I like it. Oh man, the only cool hippo I've ever seen was at the Cincinnati Zoo when I was living there. There was a baby hippo called Fiona, and she was just born, and that was like the town news, and they named beers after her, did the whole like that kind of thing. But yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
that was
cool.
my favorite Calgary story.
Dang. Yeah, that's a good one.
And so yeah, after Calgary, Phil and I. So for all listeners, Phil is my best friend in Germany, and so he came to visit me and Mark to like do parts of a road trip together. But so Phil and I flew from Calgary to Montreal, which is a totally different thing. Like French Canada is very different to like BC or Alberta.
So I've never been to that part of Canada. How would you, I guess, differentiate the two by when you call them different?
So it is similar to the West Coast, East Coast difference in the US a bit.
Okay.
Like you have a very different architecture. Like if you compare Portland and Boston, for example, like much more older, much more colonialistic or imperial, if I would have to describe the architecture, but like also the people are different. Like it feels like a French city. That's the thing. Like it really feels like a French city, but like because that's the basically their first language.
Yeah.
Are you saying French city in the sense like, from my understanding, there's a lot of French. They take long lunches. It's very play over work mentality.
Yeah, I would say so. Like a lot of. Yeah, it felt more like a city that people like live their life more and more outside, and so it was interesting. It's a beautiful city, but it was like an interesting kind of atmosphere, even. And but we didn't stay long in Montreal, and we rented a car. Like we still had like 5 days till our flight went home to Europe or to Germany. So we decided, oh fuck it, we're just gonna rent a car, and we wanted to see Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
And so from Montreal to Nova Scotia, it's a long fucking drive. Like it's so close on the map, but you have to like, there's like, you have Montreal and Quebec City, which is also very nice, old medieval town almost. Then you have New Brunswick, and this like kind of a peninsula thing. So there's only one way to go there, and like the end of the peninsula, there's like this kind of angled peninsula on it, and that's Nova Scotia. And I remember we drove in 5 days, or I drove because I was the only person insured on the car, 4,500 kilometers, which is around, I'd say, 3,000 miles.
Wow.
And we did that so to do that, so yeah, that was the only chance on seeing Nova Scotia, is to like drive that far. And we slept in the car. It was a 2016 VW Jetta. I can recommend that. I would give this model 5 of 5 sleeping bags for sleeping in the car, because their front seats are very far retractable.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, you can put them down very, very easily. So yeah, and that's an amazing part of the world. Like Nova Scotia is so remote, and it has this like Icelandic Scandinavian feel to it. And you see those beautiful wooden houses, like as you know from Sweden or from Norway, like with the red ones with the white beams and stuff. Like it's beautiful. Like there's basically everywhere you are, there's water. There's either the sea or some marshes or something. And I remember we had lobster there for the first time, because I like the whole area in Nova Scotia is basically the capital of the lobster industry. Like Maine is, like they're pretty similar.
Yeah.
And I remember going to a restaurant and we had lobster for like $20 or something.
We gotta go, Mark. Thanks.
Yeah, and that was amazing. And like it was so normal. Like there are lobster traps in every little harbor and every little village. And even in the supermarket, like you could go in a supermarket and like next to the deli meat, there was a huge ass aquarium of lobsters. And I think it was like $10 a pound or something.
Oh wow.
It was really cheap. And you could, the service there was that you could go there, you could like choose your lobster, like in the beginning of your shopping trip, and they would catch it out, like put it out, they would steam it already or cook it for you. So in the end of your shopping trip, you go back to that area and you pick up your freshly cooked lobster. Just bring them. That's a normal supermarket.
Oh, I totally get it. Yeah, no, that makes sense. But man, that's one thing. Like I tell Mark, I said I want to hit a few parks like Acacia National Park over there in Maine. Really go up, see the fall foliage of the New England states. In the fall. But I like that you actually had the lobster. You said you had it for the first time, because I kick myself every time. I went to Alaska a couple of years ago, and they bought king crab for the table.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any, and I kick myself every time because I'm like, if there's one place to do it, that was the place, because it's perfect.
Exactly. Yeah. True.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
But man, that's cool. There's a hotel over there too. I want to say it's in Nova Scotia. They built it out on the rocks, like out on the sea. Cool. And it's up on like the sticks, and it looks like a big shipping container, almost. It's kind of rectangular in that shape. But they wanted it to look like that, and it's like a town of 50 people that run. They also run the hotel. That's part of like what helps their economy, I guess.
Yeah.
I saw it on one of those like Netflix shows, like amazing hotels of the world. And I'm like, I gotta go to that one, because you're out on the ocean and it's beautiful and it's Nova Scotia, and I'm jealous that you gotta go, but I'm glad you gotta go too.
It was amazing. Oh, and so like since we had the Orca experience on the BC side in Vancouver Island, Phil and I did another whale watching tour there with humpback whales.
Ooh, how was that?
And that was also amazing. It was like incredibly cheap, like $30 or something.
Oh wow!
But the same setup, like a small Zodiac.
Yeah.
Like maximum 12 people. And so we went out and apparently this area between Nova Scotia and New Brunswick is like a huge ass feeding ground for humpback whales. And like we found this pair of humpback whales. It was amazing. Like they were next to our boat for like, I'd say half an hour at least.
Wow. And
you could like see that they like to be next to us, and they were curious, and they tried to like pop their heads out of the water to see how we looked like, and they were like maybe 5 feet from the boat.
Wow.
It
was amazing.
That's cool.
And and there's like dolphins. They were not dolphins. The other ones, the with P.
Porpoise.
Porpoises. Around there too, and that was great.
Nice.
Okay. So you should go to Nova Scotia for the whales and for the lobster, basically.
Shoot, man. Sounds like I got to.
Yeah.
No, that to me, you sold me. I'm going to go. I'm going to make it happen.
Hello, my wanderers. before we get going with this episode of the podcast, I do just want to remind you guys to check out our other social medias, the YouTube, the Instagram, the Teespring to get that swag. Make sure to check us out individually. Zach Gray of Quartz Lake, Zach Gray, the Rougarou. Make sure you check out myself, Reverend Marcus, all that fun stuff. The links are below in the bio. All you got to do is click that bio, look for it, boom, you're on your way. Make sure if you guys want to be part of the podcast or questions to be heard on the podcast, email us at wanderingwayspodcast@gmail.com or quartzlakeproductions@gmail.com. We love the feedback. We love the input. All of it is amazing, and we love you guys for listening. It's awesome. So let's keep wandering on. So one thing I get super jealous about with you, Vinz, is
my good looks.
Well, that's one of them. But the other thing I get jealous is, like, not only did you live in the U.S. for a year, so you went out of your home country and lived for a year, but you got to live in Thailand. And we've talked about your stories a little bit, and Thailand jumped up some spots on places I want to go soon because of hearing your stories. So I want to just go into your experience of living in Thailand a little bit.
Yeah, so it's like, again, with an academic time abroad, I went to Thailand to do my double masters there. Recently, actually, like last year. Yeah, I went there August last year. Been there like 8 months, I think. Yeah. Came home just like right before the lockdown, like right at that window of time when all the flights were collapsed, basically. I got one of the, I think I was on the last Emirates flight out of Bangkok or something, and that it was wild. But yeah, it's the basically the exact opposite of being in the US. in so many ways, so since Corvallis is this little town with all those basically just students, and it's campus and nature everywhere, and if you drive for 10 minutes you're in like a beautiful forest and everything. But I was living in the 33rd floor of this huge tower in the middle of Bangkok. And
you have to take the stairs?
Never, not even once. I took the stairs.
Yeah, 33 floors. That would be a pain to take the stairs.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to.
That was. We took it up to the roof sometimes, which is cool. Like you could even go a little bit higher. Yeah, but that you're living in this also box basically, that has to be the AC has to be running 24/7 because it's 36 degrees Celsius out there, which is should be in the 90s in Fahrenheit.
It's hot.
Yeah, or in the hundreds even. It's hot. It's really hot, and you have this crazy weather where it's hot and it's so fucking humid. It doesn't matter when you showered or what you're wearing. You're stepping outside for a minute and you're wet. Oh. There's just no other way to do it. It's crazy climate there, and you have those different seasons. When there's a rainy season, it's just streets are flooding in the middle of Bangkok, just from a 5-minute rainfall.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's normal. Huh. Nobody bats an eye, really, and yeah, there's people everywhere. There's traffic. Underneath next to my house, there was 3 highways, and I think directly in front of our house there was 5 different levels of streets
Whoa.
up on top of each other.
Whoa.
They're just crossing it. It was crazy. And there's the smog, and there's like the traffic, which is insane. And but there's also and there's the masses of people in Bangkok. But there's also this amazing, like, welcoming culture. Like,
Yeah.
people are super nice. Even to, like, especially like when you're in a residential area. Like, if you're not, like, it's always the problem when you're abroad, that you're treated like a tourist or not.
Yeah.
And being a white guy, a young white guy in Thailand or in Southeast Asia, you're basically stereotyped tourist. Just doesn't get better than that.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's a bad thing for me personally. Like, I guess for a lot of people that or take the tourist routes, or generally, this is probably the normal thing, not even the good or the bad thing. But I try to not be touristy everywhere I am, and so where I lived, there was no tourists.
Yeah.
So all the people that I interacted with every day, which was mostly vendors of any kind, like street stalls of like pad thai or stuff like this, or curries or coffee shop, something, like, they couldn't understand a word I was saying apart from like what I ordered, and vice versa. But they all had like this like non-verbal understanding or communication that was taking place, which was really amazing. Like, you could, like, there's this one place I went there probably 3 times a week or something, or more often. It was this like old guy who had like this little shop, or cart. It was not bigger than a table, and he was just making chicken soup there. Just chicken soup. And he was there like 6 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon, and he couldn't speak a word English. But at one point, I like explained him how I want my soup, like, with, like, he basically had white meat and chicken liver, and like, I can give you both. And from that point on, I didn't even had to order. Like, I just went into his shop, and he saw me walking in, and I said hi, and then I sat down, and I got my food.
Cool. You're a local.
Yeah, so there was such an amazing experience. Like, guess I'm home now.
Yeah.
In this super eerie place for my standards. Like, everything is hot, it's dusty, it's loud, it's smelly, and there's people everywhere. But somehow I'm home, and that was amazing. Like,
Yeah.
like, it really immerse into the society somehow.
Did you?
Without even speaking language.
Because Thailand's the one where you see those beautiful, like, mountain kind of things coming out of the ocean, right? I'm thinking.
Yeah. It's in Thailand and Vietnam.
Were you able to go see like some of that when you were there?
Yeah, so I traveled a lot in that time, because first I had a very fortunate schedule, like only university for 2 days a week. So it was like, you could just, I had it Saturday and Sunday. So Sunday evening you could get on a bus and be at an island, a tropical island, in the morning.
That's so
cool. 5 days. It's amazing.
That's crazy, yeah.
And it that doesn't cost a thing. Like, if you're probably 5 days in total of everything, you would pay maybe $100.
No way. Really?
Yeah. If you're in Bangkok already, bus is like $10 back and forth.
Wow. When you were traveling for those longer stays, like outside of Bangkok, were Were you staying in like hostels and stuff like that?
Depends. Like normally you would like even hotels are so cheap that you try to be in hotels
Yeah.
because if you can stay in a hotel for like $5 a night per person, then you're doing that, of course.
Yeah.
But I
It's like
did
we're in the South.
both.
You did both?
Yeah.
What were the hostels like there?
Really depends. Like hostels, I must say that the hostels were pretty good, remember? In most places, like especially in the more touristy areas, they're better. Um, but sometimes they're just not the European standard that
Oh
is
yeah.
you're like used to, of course.
Yeah.
But mostly they were good. And like big thing are also like kind of guest houses where you have like double rooms or so and you only get a breakfast or something. And that's normally also very good. Like and sometimes you have like we have a bungalow at one point.
Nice.
So like yeah, but this some on the islands that's standard. Like
Well, it makes
like,
sense.
like we were on this one island and um we had this there was this gummy no what's you know the trees they make latex from.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I don't know what they're called though.
Yeah, because they also have the rubber trees too.
Rubber trees, that was the one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And we're in this huge bungalow like in the rubber trees and was like kind of a hill and like we were in the forest and if you look down there's the sea and the
Wow.
beach and everything and that's just normal. That's the crazy thing. Like that was not a high-end bungalow resort anything like it's just low end.
Nice.
Word. I mean,
And you can lodge very very cheap in that areas and have a decent place to stay.
is it? Would you say it's cheap because of the economy, or would you say it's cheap just because there's a lot there, or what? Like, I guess what would be your interpretation of the reason for it being so cheap?
It's the economy for sure. So in Thailand or in most Southeast Asian countries, they're really low standards and really poor. Like if you look outside of Bangkok, people, or even in Bangkok, like you see a lot of poor people, and the overall, I think the minimum wage a day in Thailand, like for the whole day, is around $10.
Oh wow.
But the whole like produce and food is very very cheap, even because a lot of people are in agriculture. The agriculture sector is huge in those countries, and with this weather, stuff is growing great, so they can offer it very cheap prices. And so with this like $10 of a minimum wage a day, you can feed a whole family.
Nice.
So it works. Like it is very cheap and there's not a high standard in living for most people, but it works.
Nice.
Which makes you feel weird, even in a way. Like it's also amazing for me. Like I was a student there, and I could afford everything I wanted. Like,
Really?
yeah. Like you don't cook. You go to restaurants every day, twice at least. You
Wow.
take a taxi or a cab everywhere if you want to.
Huh.
You can just like you can drive to fucking island on the days you don't have school. So like,
Wow.
and I believe I had a budget like $1,000 a month there,
Yeah.
and I was probably in the top 10%.
Oh wow.
maybe 15.
Yeah, that's what
That's just an estimate. Like that's more gut feeling.
That's what I've heard about it. It's like really cheap to kind of travel there, which has always been like something that makes me want to go to Thailand.
Yeah,
because you can
you
do
get a lot for your money.
Yeah, and then I mean, just hearing, being able to travel around. Thailand's such a cool country in general.
It is corrupt as fuck, though.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too.
We're not dealing with that corruption. We're just there to see the beautiful things.
Yeah, but if you go for like, Thailand has amazing places. Like, totally different ones too. Like if you go to the north, we did trips to all part. No, not all parts, but like to a lot of Thailand. And if you go to the north, there's hills and mountains, and it also gets like almost cold, like so you need a jacket cold.
Oh wow!
And you can drive through like endless hills and mountains of rainforest, and there's a lot of native tribes there, and there's a lot of different culture there, and different foods, and you have amazing caves and rivers, and it's amazing. And in the south you have this crazy tropical sea in the islands. And even this is like they have two different seas. They have the Andaman Sea on like the more of the Indian Ocean kind of side, and then they have the Gulf of Thailand. Mm-hmm. And that's already but really different. And I myself, I'm a big fan of diving and snorkeling.
Yeah.
So it was a dream for me. Like we went diving there with like visibility of 40 meters. And you see like we saw sea snakes and all kind of cool stuff. And then just for snorkeling, you just go out, you just get into the water and start away and see the most amazing things.
Yeah, and it's really cool.
And when you're in like you see wild animals all the time. Like even in Bangkok, there's this huge these monitor lizards, and they get like 6 feet long, 7.
Dang,
they're huge. They're like Komodo dragon size. Like not Komodo dragons are a little bit bigger when they're like but they're basically their size.
Holy cats!
And they're just around in Bangkok because Bangkok like has a lot of like canals and stuff, and so whenever you're driving with the boat on the canal, you see one.
Huh.
Like when you're sitting at the pool, you might see one.
Are they dangerous?
No, not at all.
Oh, they're just kind of.
That's good.
There.
Yeah, that's good. But there's a lot of dangerous animals in Thailand, like especially snakes. There's a shit ton of snakes in that country. And aren't you a fan of snakes, Mark?
Not a huge fan of snakes.
I am a huge fan of snakes. Like in a different life, I would be like the Steve Irwin guy who catches all these snakes and like milks their venom and stuff. But you could see those snakes all like basically on every trip and every walk or little hike you take in the forest and in the jungle.
Oh wow!
Are they aggressive?
Sorry?
Are they aggressive snakes? Or are they just kind of lazy?
It depends on the snake, but I never encountered an aggressive one, which is fortunate. One time, like I went to Cambodia, and Angkor Wat. Yeah. So I went to this huge temple area where they like the Lara Croft temples and stuff, and so we were having lunch there, and I was sitting with looking at like this wall, like 2,000-year-old wall that like kind of from a meter high, and I think like, okay, that could be a snake there. And I get up and I walk there like 30 meters, and actually was a snake, and it was probably like, I don't know, 4 feet long.
Whoa.
And I already thought when I saw the head, like, this could be a cobra, but I'm not sure. And in the end, I got like, I don't know, 3 feet close or 2 feet close to the thing, and I kind of hid between rocks and stuff. Turns out, spitting cobra.
Dang.
Yeah,
Shoot.
but it was like, if that thing would have been aggressive at that point, that distance,
Yeah.
You're done.
yeah, pretty much. Incredibly cool. Like, still one of my highlights of the time there is like seeing this fucking cobra.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Just chilling there. And yeah, even if you're out there, and like most of the time when you're somewhere in a lodge or in a somewhere on an island, or if you go out at night, there's animals everywhere.
Oh, I bet.
There's frogs, there's lizards, there's snakes, there's fruit bats, there's they have this huge geckos. There's geckos everywhere. Like, especially in Bangkok, there's 3 animals that are everywhere. That's that's geckos, rats, and cockroaches. And the geckos, yeah, they're nice.
Yeah.
But the other ones you have to get used to.
Yeah, I bet.
But it's actually like, after a rat ran over your foot 1 or twice in a restaurant, you kind of fine. You're like, this might as well happen. That's kind of the experience.
Hey, I lived in a fraternity for a couple of years, so rats don't really get me.
Doing their thing.
Yeah. But anyways, I always seem to be this guy, and I got to be that guy again. We're getting kind of long. This is a doozy, which is a shame because I think we could go for a lot longer too. But I don't know if everybody else wants to listen for that long. So we are gonna move on to our final words. So since you are our guest, we're gonna let you go first, Vince. You can say literally anything you would like. Promote your social medias. Put out a PSA of whatever you want. You could just sing the alphabet for all I really. It's the final words. It's whatever you want. So final words, Vince.
God, now you kind of. I don't want to promote my social media because it's barely post anything. I want to say good luck to you and to your country. You need it. I'm pretty happy and pretty stoked that the season 4 of Trump is almost finished. Which was very amusing to watch from afar. Also a bit scary. But apart from that, maybe Mark can play something on the ukulele to
I can
ring us out.
It's kind of within range here.
It's within range. You can reach it and grab it.
Yeah. I'll use it in my final words today. But
that's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah, no. Zach, your final words.
I think.
Wait! I have something.
Okay.
Go for it.
Okay. One thing I never understood in Americans is that, like, I think like half of them don't have a passport where they can travel internationally. Like, you remember my ex-girlfriend, she had to get a passport to see me, which didn't happen in the end, but she like didn't have one at that point.
Yeah.
And so many Americans also haven't seen a lot of the US and haven't traveled, and I don't know why. Like, you are in a position to like fly down to South America, and like, I get that Europe is not was a little bit far, but so many people have never been out of the country, States, and I hope that changes. I hope people will go out, see the world, and then I believe these new perspectives can do a lot good to the US and to the American society. So that's my final word.
I love it.
I like
Get a passport.
I agree with what you're saying there, because I was going down the road of, you told us today how cheap it is to travel to Thailand, to be in Thailand, to live there, to do this, to do that. That's a lot. That's a lot of the case outside of Europe and America. You go to South America, probably the same story. Even Southeast Asia. Make it happen, everybody. It's not that hard. We need to experience other cultures, other people, to have a better holistic idea of who we are as people and what we're doing on this earth and why we're doing what we're doing on this earth. There's 8 billion of us now. Let's figure it out, because we have to live in harmony if we want this planet to survive. Because this planet goes 2-3 more degrees, we're like bacteria in the Yellowstone hot pots. We colors start changing, this and that starts happening, we start dying off, pandemics, all that happens. So let's just be smart, figure it out, go travel, go see each other, and learn a thing or two. On to you, Mark.
I love it. Reverend's final words of wisdom today. I kind of want to keep going on with Vince about getting that passport. I think one of the best ways to learn about culture and just learning about, society and all that is to travel. So if you can get your passport, go up to Canada, go down to Mexico, go over to Thailand, go over to Europe, go to Brazil, Argentina, Patagonia. There's so many places, down South Africa. There's a ton of places we can learn so much about the world and people. And, you start to realize that we are just humans and special, we're all the same when it comes down to it. And a great way to realize that is through travel. So with that, I think I'm going to play us out today. So I'm just going to get going on it. Peace out, everybody.